Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast over on YouTube. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. Over there in Boston is Matt Pennie. Over the course of the next month, we're going to be diving deep into 2022 NBA draft prospects. Today, we're going to talk about the man with the best frame, in my opinion, in the 2022 NBA draft class, Tari Eason. As usual, Matt is going to give us the rundown on some of the vitals. We're going to talk about Tari's offense, his defense, his overall prospect value, and then we're going to talk maybe about a couple of teams that could make sense. So, Matt, I give you the floor. Tell us everything we need to know about Tari Eason.
Thank you for the floor. Tari Eason from LSU, 6'8" in shoes with an almost 9-foot standing reach and a 7'2" wingspan. This past season averaged 16.9 points, 6.6 rebounds, over a block a game, and a steal. 52% from the field, 36% from three, 80% from the free throw line. Only started 4 games for LSU and 8 for Cincinnati the year before he transferred, but did have his moments. Had 24 and 12 against Tennessee, had 26 and 10 at Alabama, and had 25 and 12 at Texas A&M.
So Tari Eason, you look at his frame, it's the closest thing to Kawhi Leonard that we've seen since Kawhi. I mean that purely in terms of frame.
Okay.
6'8", 7'2" wingspan, enormous standing reach. The other thing, enormous hands, has the biggest hands in this 2022 NBA draft class. He has 11-inch hands, and you can see it on the defensive end particularly, and we'll talk about that in a second. Offensively is where I'm a little bit more worried about Tari. I don't totally know what to do with him. He's great at grabbing and going on offense. Like, he really is a great transition offensive player. A power driver. He really attacks and really consistently just gets to the rim. He lives at the foul line because he is so physical as a driver. Incredibly right-hand dominant. Can drive left occasionally, but he's always trying to get back to that right side. And he's so physically strong that he sometimes just kind of makes it work. On top of that, man, like, we're going to talk about this throughout this video, but like, he is strong as shit. Like, he just moves dudes. Like, you watch him like try to drive to the basket, he goes like up through Jalen Williams, like without fouling him, with ease. Like, it's like Jalen Williams at Arkansas, a guy that is 245 pounds, extremely strong, 9'1" standing reach. He just goes up like that guy isn't even there. Like, the strength level, I think, is Tari's biggest thing that is going to allow him to translate to the NBA level.
And up and down big. He ranked in the 90th percentile in transition scoring per synergy, and he's fluid from the catch to the finish too. Despite that strength, he still has good feet when he's getting to his move, can handle a little bit for a few dribbles, and then the post, he'll seal his man up the lane. He makes a good target. It helps when your hands are that big, your wingspan's that big.
Yeah, right.
Four pass to come in there. It's not a lot of room for it not to get there. And could score out of these little short jumpers on the mid post. Against the zone, he can flash middle and face up from the elbows. I see how he could be a pick and pop isolation guy at the next level and feast off those slower footed bigs with his combination of size and skill. He can get overexcited at times and do the over dribble and be called for charges when he's trying to get back to his right hand. Like, will refuse to cross over and go left. Like, we know you're going right, you got to go a different direction. The jumper is interesting. The percentages aren't bad, but it's a low release. It's a push. It's kind of a shot put, and just has to keep.
It's like a catapult off of his right shoulder.
It's medieval times off here. Yeah, it's a rocket launcher. I don't know at times if he's always there. Like, I don't want him to drift as much. Despite not starting, he was on the court a lot. His numbers were good. I think they could have been great if he did a few more things to keep himself involved. Don't turn it over as much during double teams or we send another guy at you. I see him as an energy guy in the NBA. I need him to score one or make a big change of play to change that type of momentum. But you like a guy at his size and position, offensively and defensively, that you feel okay ripping it off the rim, hitting a sideline, running the center court, and he's not going to turn it over and kick it back to him either.
So here's the thing on the shot. I actually think he has touch. I legitimately think that you watch him play basketball, the ball comes off his hand softly. He made 36% of his jumpers from three. He made 80% of his foul shots. The problem is he has absolutely no chance, I think, to be like a real pull-up shooter with the current iteration of his jumper. It has such a low load point, and it's coming from such a small part, like coming off of his right side so much that I just don't know how he can make that work. The other thing is, like, it takes him such a long time to really load into the shot. He's not a movement shooter at all. Like, he has to be spotting up and hopefully making shots. He needs that extra split second, like, to find the seams too, is what you find. Like, he catches it, he's like trying to find the seams, and then he goes up from the right shoulder, and then it's like going up for the shot. I don't think he has any in between game right now. No. He seems to lose some of his touch there, I think. And then he just gets swatted. Like, he's 6'8" with a 7'2" wingspan. And if he tries to take a pull-up jumper, you know, he's most comfortable trying to get back to his left to take the shot, like where you're comfortable as a right-handed shooter. But because he's coming off of the right shoulder so much and with such a low load point, it's just not functional in any way. Like, the other thing that, you know, I had a couple of NBA teams point out to me is he just really has a lot of offhand interaction in the shot, and the ball has like a small side spin to it, and it drifts to the right as he shoots it. Like, there's just a lot of mechanical work that he needs to do. I think there's real upside though, man.
Well,
like,
when your hands are that big, like you're covering the whole ball, you just gotta like spin it a little bit, right? When your hands are that big, maybe it's just a short little change we can make.
It's so hard. Like,
it is.
There's so much to do here, right? Like, there's just so much to do here. But he's 6'8", he has 7'2" wingspan. He's enormous. He's athletic. He's strong as hell, and he has real touch. Like, again, what he is at 21 years old is not going to be what he is at 27 years old. Like, I don't know, man. And we haven't even gotten to the defense yet. Like,
well, that
maybe the best defender of perimeter players in this class. Like,
well,
it's
he's that
such
style. The clock dunk. He's in the style of that positionless kind of switching big that covers 3 through 5, right? And he can block shots with either hand, and they're everywhere. He's great in the press because he can fly all over the place, recover. It doesn't have to be structure. I think it's where he thrives the most. He closes out hard. He can scramble. He stunts and recovers. That's why he can stretch some on wings too. That said, has to reel in some of the gambling. You don't want him to be like that all the time, but in a college game where you need to kind of make that shift in energy, he's great for that. As a nitpick, when he's more than a pass away, so if it's kind of like, it doesn't seem like he's going to be like one more before the other, he can go straight up and ball watch. You'll get burnt on that in the NBA. Guys are just too smart. They'll face cut you and it'll be a bucket. But I like his defense. I prefer his defense over his offense, and that was the biggest thing that stood out this season at LSU.
This is a legitimate all defense level defender. If things go right with the rest of his development, and it's because he's such a ridiculous playmaker. He's like stronger Matisse Thybulle, I think, defensively. Like, he is so disruptive with his hands. If you put the ball in front of him, because his hands are so big and so strong, like, he just kind of snatches the ball from you. Yeah. Like, it's really ridiculous. Like, his length just completely swallows up smaller players. You mentioned 3 through 5 switchability. I think he's like 1 through 5.
Oh, we're doing the 1 through 5. We're doing the Scotty Barnes.
I really do. Like, you watch him, he just completely swallows up smaller drivers and contests. Like, the thing he does really well, he keeps his off arm high. Like, if he's driving and like he's using his arm to brace impact, he keeps the arm high and contests in a way that is just really hard for smaller guys. Like, when you're that big, your hands are that big, you're that long, it's just hard. He's great with closeouts, like block shots at a high level. The thing he does really well that, again, is like Matisse Thybulle, like, he'll aggressively just like dig down onto guys driving if he's on the same side. And again, his hands are fucking enormous, and he just takes the ball from you. Right. And if he gets his hand on the ball, he is taking the ball. Like
Snatching your
really
soul and possession
ridiculous.
arrow. Right.
Yeah. So the motor is insane. Like, look, you're 100% right. He needs to iron out some of the wilder tendencies,
Mm.
and there's a lot there that he needs to iron out. And like, I'm totally with you on all of that. If this goes right, I mean, the ceiling is really high here. The ceiling is very, very high.
So, just by the sounds of this, you sound a little bit more excited than I am. Where do you see his best NBA fit? I personally have him 19th right now on my board. I don't know a team that stands out, and maybe that's sort of a byproduct of him being sort of switching interchangeable. Where I don't say that team needs that right now. What's your take on it?
I have him in like the 12 to 15 range. And it's just because if things go right for him defensively, he is such an impact player defensively. Um, if I have all the worries about the shot in the world, I really am truly concerned about what he can do there in a real substantial way. Like, this is not Kawhi Leonard, right? Like, that's
No,
just
no, he's not.
absolutely
Don't
not
take
who
that.
he
Don't,
is.
yeah,
Um, it's okay though. Like, there's space for being an effective player below Kawhi Leonard.
yeah.
Um, I worry enough about the shot creation. I worry enough about the shooting. I worry also, like, he's very turnover prone.
Mm.
Like, he's not a great passer, not a great playmaker for others. He is purely just a straight line driver to the rim, and he's a great straight line driver to the rim because of that intersection of power, speed, and just athleticism. Uh, I have him in the 12 to 15 range just because if he ever figures out the jumper to a more functional level, this is like a no doubter starter in the NBA. This is a no doubter difference maker at the NBA level.
Yeah, can be. It has the we've said that in the past about prospects about the defense being so good, but it needs to offensively keep you on the court too.
In terms of fits, I mean, Charlotte stands out just because they desperately need guys that can defend at all, like point blank, need
Yes.
defense.
Well, I think we drafted Mark Williams to them too. So if that's your front line at 13 or 15, Eason and Williams, I think you've upgraded defensively.
And would really help with LaMelo running the floor, getting out on the break. That'd be a really fun set of draft picks for Charlotte. I would love 13 and 15. Tari Eason, Mark Williams. Houston, I think, makes sense. Another team that just desperately needs more defensive talent, in my opinion. Chicago really needs a four-man if Pat Williams isn't going to be the guy. Unclear at this point, I think, just given the injury last year. But I'm sure that they could use depth there regardless. They could just use one more body in the front court. I think that Minnesota also makes a lot of sense for a partner next to Karl Anthony Towns at the four that can slide and switch. End of the day, like, you can make a case for Denver, you can make a case for San Antonio, you can make a case for Memphis.
That was
like,
my case. Yeah, there's a lot of places and teams that you make the case because he does fit that way.
Right. And I think that that's why he's such a potentially valuable NBA player and why I'm a little bit higher on you. When we can look up and down the board and go, oh, every
See it.
team in his range is a
Yeah.
fit, that says a lot to me. For Matt Pennie over there, I'm Sam Vecenie over in Australia. This has been the Game Theory Podcast over on YouTube. We'll be back with more NBA draft breakdowns later on this week.